let's talk about infrastructure, and I would love for Dinesh to also jump in on this. When you're saying infrastructure, I want to talk infrastructure also for the EV industry, because that's a huge challenge and perhaps coming in the way of adoption, but also just infrastructure and posing a challenge when it comes to the auto industry. Would you say that's perhaps the biggest challenge? I know that everyone also talks about government regulation and multitude of government regulation.
So, being electric vehicle industry a very nascent stage as of now. It is very young. So to cope up with the requirement or the expectation of Indian users, you need to be driving from front force. We have seen in the past year, we have seen a lot of challenges actually which has emerged, and then we have seen a lot of changes in the requirement to have a safety requirement for vehicles. As far as the major challenge, what I still feel apart from infrastructure challenges, where in EV industry people have talked about range anxiety, so you need charging infrastructure. You have seen multiple changes in the requirement for the safety standards when 156 phase 2 kicked in because of a lot of fires which has happened. So these are the few challenges which we are still coping up.
Sure. Okay. So that's definitely one of the challenges perhaps for the EV space. I'll come to Dinesh. Go ahead, Dinesh.
Yeah. Now that he's kind of mentioned about lending, I think on the other side, right, charging infrastructure is key, right? For electrification to reach the masses, you need charging infrastructure, whether somebody's going to use it or not. Again, at least the global average is, I think, what 97% of all charging is going to happen at home or at work, and the rest 3% is going to happen at public charging stations, right? It's going to be a form factor shift, right, or a form factor hangover, as you call it, right? Like, there needs to be clear awareness about how charging is going to work, and that you're not going to be charging as often at public stations as compared to a petrol-powered vehicle, right? And the key driver there is going to be standardization, right? It wouldn't make sense if Toyota would run on Toyota's gas and Honda would run on Honda's gas and Tata would run on Tata's gas, right? We have clear standardization. Obviously, we have petrol and diesel, but how does it make sense if every manufacturer has his or her or their own charging standard, right? That's not the way to go. So there, I think the sooner we kind of close down on one specific charging standard and then create awareness of that charging standard first among manufacturers, at the OEM level, and then at the customer level, right? There's an open standard, by the way, called CCS, and I don't know how much if you guys know about it. Today, every single car, right from the EQS to the Nexon or the Tiago, uses CCS. But then when you actually look at the two-wheeler and three-wheeler space, it's completely different, right? Right from the Olas to the Aethers till the regional brands, everybody uses a different standard, and yeah, the sooner we kind of get on board one single standard, and that's essentially what we're trying to do. Little segue into what we do is we're making India's first electric motorcycle that can use the CCS standard. So from day one, you have access to almost 5,500 charging stations today.
Please go ahead and ask your question. If you could introduce yourself and whom the question is for.
This is Kumar. I just want to check on the cost of the EV vehicle. So, for example, 5 years after 5 years, okay, what is the charge on the battery swapping or maybe the changing of the battery and all these kind of things when compared to the fuel? We are talking about the fuel versus electric. So then the electric consumption and maybe after 3 years the battery cost that we are not talking now actually. So that I understand it is no on the higher side.
My opinion on this is going to be a little controversial, but I'll go ahead and say it anyway. But so do you ever think about changing the engine in your vehicle?
What engine?
Never, right? You never change it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's where we need to get to. Or in some cases, it's already there, right? What we're looking at is, at least if I were to speak for myself, we're looking at a vehicle that can have a battery that lasts the lifetime of the vehicle. And when I mean lifetime, I'm looking at a 10 to 12 year life of the battery, where I can give you a warranty of about 80% on that, right? So I'm not going to just say, yeah, trust me, you can have a 10-year life on your battery. And today, almost all electric cars in the market today come with a an 8-year or a 1.5 lakh limit?
The warranty actually, what is for two-wheelers I'm talking about actually. So it is normally it is 2 years or 3 years.
So I think on the two-wheeler segment right now is about 3 years, but again, and that's kind of where our moat is, right? What we do at Rapti is essentially bringing the same architectural shift to two-wheelers. So the goal for us is, or rather, the way I like to see it is, if mass adoption of electric vehicles has to happen organically, without subsidies, without reduction in rates, blah, 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 it has to happen because electric vehicles are seen as a direct outright upgrade to a petrol-powered vehicle. And I personally believe that's possible, and that's what we're working towards.
I think Shiva also has a perspective. Go ahead, please.
Nice way of saying that, do you replace an engine? So there is another perspective. So when you have a technology shift, right, you have challenges and you have opportunities, right? So that's how technology shift happens. So one way of looking at it is looking at the battery as in kind of similar to an engine. Another way is looking at it as a fuel. So that will be a day. I mean, I'm very bullish about electric. So there will be a day when you will be sold an electric bike or a car without the batteries, and batteries will be pay by use, like you do the petrol, right? When the standardization of the batteries happen, and it will happen. I mean, and this day is not too far. Maybe in a decade's time or less than a decade's time, you will find that all you need to do is just go to petrol station, kind of a battery station, plug a new set of charged batteries, give away your discharged batteries and drive on. You know, you don't pay upfront for the battery, but you pay by the use of the battery. Battery swapping. So this would, in fact, these are certain things which are linked to the legal framework, because today you can't sell electricity on the private domain. You know, there is this electrical law which says that you need to, I mean, the Ministry of Energy will have to make amendments to the law. So all this will come in place as the industry evolves. They will come in place, and that's a big opportunity for many of the SMEs, I would say, to look at this space of, you know, providing charged batteries.
Sure. Either one of you, yeah, please.
So we are sitting in a year where the transitions, I agree with him 100%, that the transitions will happen. As the need develop, the product will be evolved. So today, if we are talking about 3 years, 8 years of the battery life, we are definitely going to talk about much higher, and even the prices will come down with the economy of scale coming in, kicking in. We are on the right path. When we say we are talking about Indians, that we are on the right path of evolution in this sector. We are looking for a stage where we will be manufacturing each and every components, including the battery cells, down the line. Definitely the technology, the price points will help the adaptation. Yes, subsidy is required at this point of time, because still people have apprehensions. They want to compare. Even we buy BMWs and everything, we go and ask, kya discount milega? So at the end of the day, price is very sensitive. India is a very price sensitive market. If you compare without the subsidy, I think the shift from gasoline vehicles to electric vehicle will be very tough. I have seen it over a period of say 14 years now. Whenever the subsidies are there, the sales gets increased, double, triple, whatever happened. But as the subsidies go off, the sales tumbles like anything. So this is very common perspective. So subsidies plays a very important role. The product, the indigenization, localization, and enhancement of performance of vehicle and each and every component plays an important role. So definitely this transition will happen over a period of time.
Sure.
So can I give you a practical one? You have heard a lot of technical words. If you are driving more than 30,000 kilometers per year, if you have your own home where you can put a charging station, if you are able to put some solar thing on your head of your house, if you have electricity policy of net metering, you should buy a car today. If any of the 4 things are not practical for you, wait for another year. We'll get you an economical car, electric car, then buy. Very frankly, if you are driving only 5,000, don't buy.